Hello, it's great to be here today presenting Capitan Mining. I'll do my best as well to get this done in 10 minutes. Obviously, I'm going to be making some forward-looking statements, so please be aware of that. Capitan Mining is a relatively new company. It was just born in September 2020. It's important to mention that it has two components. And currently, our project is called Cruz de Plata. Plata in Spanish, obviously highlighting the high-grade silver component of our project. But as a crust does, and it has two components, we also have an oxide disseminated gold deposit in the project. Now, there's a resource there that was put together by previous operators, which was a great start, but we believe that this resource was premature at the moment. It was obviously put out during rough times. Most of the drilling in this project came to be in 2013, 2014, when things were complicated, and that resource was put together with only 10,000 meters of drilling. Now, while it's, we believe, a good start, we also believe it didn't reflect the greater potential of the project, and I'll show you in a moment what that is. We have a great team, and that's part of the story of Capitan that is really important. We have a board with wide experience in Mexico, but most importantly, we were able to reassemble the exploration team of Argonaut Gold, where I and the rest of our technical team worked, and developed a number of plus million-ounce deposits, so in some cases from the early stage of discovery and exploration, and including putting them into production. And that includes the El Castillo and San Agustin mine, which are just an hour and a half drive away south from our project. We worked in those two projects and mines that have great similarities with our gold oxide portion in the project, and I'll show you some of that in a minute. But we're also in a great jurisdiction, to me, one of the favorite jurisdictions to be in Mexico, down in a nice flat area topographically with great access. So to me, in Mexico, it gets hardly better than this for location. Our property package holds a number of targets. In number 1 and 2, you can see what were originally the first mines of the Peñoles Mining Company. This is where, back in the late 1800s, the Peñoles Company was born. And in number 1, that's where the current resource of the Capitan and Jesus Maria silver zones are located. As I said, those resources are subdivided in two components. One is oxide gold in the Capitan zone shown in orange, and the other one is high-grade silver. Now, what's interesting here is that previous resource considered that silver zone as an open-pittable thing, so they included a wider zone of alteration. But what we became really interested in was the really high-grade intercepts that were already there when we took the project. Things like 7.15 meters of 988 grams per ton silver, or as high grade as 0.9 meters of 3.4 grams per ton silver, plus lead and zinc. That part, with only 3,000 meters of drilling at that time, was not enough to really put together a resource for the high grade silver, and that's now our main priority. Now, in the first parts of the first months of the company, we were actually not focusing on the silver, but on the gold, as we saw many similarities between our Capitan zone and the El Castillo and San Agustin mines, which are currently producing just an hour and a half drive away from our project, similar in grade, similar in geology, and we believe similar in size potential. So we set out to drill in that Capitan oxide gold hill zone. You can see on the top image here the original 7,000 meters that went into that project before Capitan started working on it, and on the bottom image after an additional 12,000 meters of drilling that we put into it. And basically we have doubled the footprint on strike and down dip of that oxide gold deposit. So those were the first months of the project. You can see too in cross-section that the mineralization holds a number of elements that are desirable in an open-pittable operation. Deep oxidation, continuous mineralization, a tabular body of mineralization as well. Close to surface, you can go to the project and stand right on the mineralization, and the topography is working in our favor too. But what made us pivot into the silver very quickly was hole 29, which you see highlighted highlighted here in the middle of the cross-section, which after going through the entire column of gold mineralization intersected the same style of mineralization, silver mineralization, that we're seeing 350 meters to the north. Now that started making us turn more into focusing more and pivoting into the silver as it started to open up the potential for new and additional veins. So this is in one way, as I've said, an oxide gold disseminated story, but also a high-grade silver vein story. And here are some examples of those high-grade silver veins that were cut by the previous explorers here in the project. Now we've been working on this. The silver potential now in the resource area alone holds 4 different targets that we have been working on, and we've been focusing currently more on the Jesus Maria zone. We're completing a 5,000-meter initial program that is focusing mostly on that main Jesus Maria vein where the old Peñoles mine was located. And as I show you some of the examples of what the previous drilling had intersected, we are as well intersecting these type of grades. And you can see hole number 1 here, the very first hole drilled into the silver, drilled 42.7 meters of 224 grams per ton silver equivalent. That includes a number of high-grade zones going up to 1.5 of 1,177, of 1.5 of 1,352 grams per ton silver equivalent. So we're confirming and we're growing those high-grade vein results. What's important here too, you can see that our hole 1 went deeper into the footwall of the Jesus Maria zone. That's important because most of the previous drilling was very shallow. It didn't explore that potential. And what we're seeing in that drilling as we go deeper is that we are seeing additional alteration zones that are now creating new targets for us to drill in the silver. That's very apparent too with our hole number 10, which we recently released, that included among its intercepts 1.5 meters of 2,406 grams per ton silver equivalent. That's mostly silver. You can see that that footwall alteration zone here has gotten bigger, creating a target for us to further drill to the north. I'll show you another slide in a moment in which we are also been sampling on surface to the north, and we're getting some really nice high-grade zones that have not yet been drilled, but that together with these broad alteration zones that we're finding underneath the high-grade silver veins is becoming really interesting. Hole 3 as well, pretty similar. We hit the vein with some really good grades, but again, on the footwall of that vein, we've been hitting additional zones of mineralization. And in this hole number 4, we were probably a little too high up from the high-grade chute, but we intersected the vein, intersected again some of the structures underneath the Jesus Maria vein. But here I wanted to direct your attention to hole 29 under the gold zone, which cut the silver mineralization 350 meters away. And that's giving us a sense for scale. When between hole 29 and the samples we're getting to the north, we have a really large area that's showing a lot of promise for additional findings. This is our map of sampling. I'm going to highlight really again what we're finding to the north, and that includes samples as high as 414 grams per ton silver with a half a gram gold, or 410 grams per ton silver but close to a gram per ton gold. We have not yet drilled that target, and that's one of the targets that we would like to drill soon. Now, in addition to the resource zone and the Jesus Maria silver zone, we also have the San Rafael zone, one of the initial Peñoles mines as well, back in the late 1800s. Well, it's interesting that here we not only have the potential for the high-grade silver veins, but also for some dissemination additionally, so that's really interesting. We are a company that does not have a lot of shares out, 53.7 million shares issued, no warrants, and a market cap currently of around 22 million. So pretty tightly held and with a really strong quality project that is highlighting currently the high-grade silver veins, but that has also an oxide gold component to it, which is really interesting also. Have 30 seconds left, so what I'm going to say about our comp table is that we are perhaps very comparable to other stories that are there in terms of the technical, except we also have not only the high-grade silver, but as I said, the oxide gold, and we have less shares, we believe, than the rest of our competitors. So what's next for Capitan? We're going to continue expanding on the mineralization. We've already done the expansion on the gold zone. We're expanding on the high-grade silver. We have de-risked the project also by removing some of the royalties that were in the project, and we're going to continue to look for further opportunities to consolidate the district. That's my time. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you at our booth.